Hello, and welcome to the Chamber's Meet the Candidate. My name is Debbie Brown, and I'm going to be asking a few questions today of our guest here. And so we're just going to hit it off the bat and start out, and I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself, and if you'll tell us what position you're seeking.
Okay. My name is David Lackey, Senior. I've been seeking position 6 for Angleton ISD School Board Trustee.
Okay. We've got contact information for you, and that will be on the Chamber's website. So you'll be able to get all of David's information off of there to contact him with more questions or comments, anything that you need to do to get more information from him before voting. So are you ready just to jump into some
Yes,
questions?
ma'am. Sure am.
All right. So let's start out with why, in your opinion, are you qualified for this position?
I've got a long and thorough background of working with not only children, but also working with adults, and I think that's going to serve us very well because I can see it from a parent's perspective, also from an educator's perspective, a mentor's perspective, and one of the biggest things is you've got to be able to see this from all sides. So I think I bring that to the table, and then a lot of things that people don't really think about is you're over one of the biggest budgets in town besides the city's budget. So I've got a background in accounting and economics that I think will serve very well. We've overseen a Building for Children campaign through our church that I was a big part of, and I think having that experience will help, especially with the school building the new swimming pool. So.
All right. How important is it for the district to purchase items and services from local vendors? How committed to the shop local motto are you, and what have you done to encourage citizens to keep their tax dollars in Angleton?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important, and where you're going to get a bigger influence when you shop local is your service. You take these storms, for example, you had a lot of fly-by-night companies that would show up, but when you shop local and you're dealing with somebody that you may be on the coach baseball with or coach basketball or something of that nature, when your AC goes out at 3 o'clock in the morning, if you call them, a lot of times it's your friend, they're going to help you out. Whereas you call some of these fly-by-nights and their phone's disconnected. Me personally, being a car salesman, I've built a living on taking good care of the customers, and they can come to me for the service that I provide. And if you do business the right way, you don't have to dodge people when you go to Kroger's or jump down the cereal aisle. So to me, it's very important for your tax dollars too, because, you know, this may be something that puts the kid in band or takes care of that for the local businesses, and then it keeps our revenue up, and then it also keeps our property taxes down. So,
great. Describe your vision for the district's role in the workforce development for local businesses over the next 5 years.
To me, I think that we need to focus on not teaching the kids about jobs, but teach them to earn a career. And you want to bring a kid to the skills that he's going to need to have a successful career, because jobs will come and go. But if you have a career, that's something you can build your retirement, you can have insurance and have several things. And then at the same time, you want to make sure that you're teaching them the skills that match the careers that are out there. So you want to put them in a field that's going to be a very high demand, because the higher the demand is, the better the salary is going to be for them.
A portion of graduating students require remedial courses to enter universities or community colleges. Do you feel that Angleton ISD is graduating a quality product from the high school? How do you feel this could be improved upon?
Okay, I think we've got a very good program here in Angleton. We're usually one of the higher ones on education, but I want us to be the best. And you've got different students. Some students, no matter how hard it is, they're going to be successful and do it. But some kids, they just need a little bit more help. You need more mentoring, involvement. Some kids, it takes 2 or 3 times of doing something for them to really catch it on. And with a lot of our generation, they've lost the respect for elders. And we have to work to gain respect, because until they respect us, they're not going to listen to us. Yeah. And respect now takes a long time to earn, but you can lose it like that. So I think putting programs in to where you match the really good students, you put the kids that are struggling, because you're only as strong as your weakest link. So you want to make sure that these kids that are struggling finish something. You don't want them just out of your school district, because if they don't finish, they're going to be the ones on our streets. And I'd like to equip them to where they can get a career down the road. And there's a lot to be said for finishing something. So.
Okay. Name the most important decision the school board has made in the last 2 years that you disagreed with, if any, and explain why you disagreed with that decision.
I didn't come into it because of any bad decisions. I just felt called to serve in this. And a lot of times it's easy for you to make a comment on a decision, but we're also not privileged to the information that they're provided. So, what appears like something, we may not know the whole side of the story. So I think it would be foolish of me to comment on something that I don't have all the information on. So.
Okay. In your discussion with voters, what concerns or issues have been raised that surprised you the most? What are your suggestions on dealing with those issues?
Yeah, the three common things that have came up is, number one, safety. Number two, the bullying. And number three is discipline. For safety, one of the biggest things you can do to cut down anything is response time. Whether it's fire drills, after shooters drills. But you look at a successful bank robber, the reason they do it is because they know what time they have to get in and out. So if you can cut this time down, you also eliminate people thinking they can get away with something. So on the high school, where you have a school police force, I would propose a four corners aspect where you had an officer on each of the four corners. It would cut your response time down. And then one thing that Angleton's done, we used to have Middle School East here, but with it being built in the 60s or 50s, whenever it was built, there were so many different points of access. So although it was a nice school, it became a hazard. So that's part of the reason behind closing it. So you've got to control the points of entry, but you also have to have points of exit, because you're probably more likely to deal with a fire or something like that, where you have to get out versus somebody getting in. But for the bullying thing, it takes communication. One of your biggest arguments are from lack of communication, whether it's in work, school, relationships. I said this and I meant this. But we've got to get to the heart of the bully. Sometimes that kid doesn't have the best home life, and he's mimicking what he's seeing, or she's mimicking what they're seeing. And from what I saw a lot on social media is the reaction of parents were every bit as bad as what the students would be. So we've also got to hold ourselves accountable. But for the kids that are bullied, I propose teaching them a class to kind of teach them how to stand up for themselves. Number one, your first line of defense is your voice. There's after-school programs for self-defense and things of that nature. But there's going to be time where teachers aren't there. Right. And kids are going to get away with as much as you'll let them get away. So you've got to set a clear boundary. And when you set that boundary, then it can kind of stop the thing. And then if you're mentoring, if we can say this guy is bullying, well, if you know he's a bully, why not take him to the baseball game or something and start interacting with him and teaching him how to love. And, I think if they're doing something like that, it's because they're missing something. So we got to get to their heart just as much as the victims.
What is your suggestion to increase voter turnout for Angleton High School District?
You've got to, first of all, be passionate about it. You've got to create an interest of it. For our church, for example, years ago, we had, instead of it saying exit, it said you're now entering the mission field. And we've got to have that same approach, is if we're passionate about it, when we leave that school, that's where our mission field is to start growing it outside of that. Talk about stuff when you're at the ball game or you're at the grocery store, and bring people in. People will do just about anything if you ask them to, and often they're not asked to get involved. So, yeah.
Are you willing to use your mobile device and social networking to communicate with the citizens?
Yes, I am. And on social media, you've got to be very guarded. What you say is forever, and a lot of times, kind of alluding to what I said in the fifth question, is I may be privileged to more information than they can. Privacy laws, I can't disclose everything, and you don't want to get in a big argument on there. But you should always be respectful. And you also got to look at this is if you make somebody mad, they're going to tell everybody. So if you upset people, I mean, it doesn't take long for it to be all over social media. But if you make somebody happy, they may tell 1 or 2 people. They may not even put it on social media. So you've got to make a lot more people happy than upset. So, and that from being in sales to build up referrals, you basically have to do that. And I've got experience with that. And the biggest thing is listening to people. And the reason social media has become so popular is people want a voice in it, and that gives them their own little platform. So, so.
Want to be heard. Mm-hmm. All right. Those are all the standard questions I have. Do you have any additional comments you want to throw in?
The thing that really worked on my heart is a couple years ago I heard a thing, to be a man, you got to see a man. And with boys, they're not choosy. They're not real picky. They crave male attention, whether it's a good influence or a bad influence. They crave it. And unfortunately, we've got a lot less fathers that are active now. So if they're not getting this role at home or from a coach or from somebody in a mentorship role, they're going to get it from somewhere else. They may seek it a negative influence, but somebody that just is investing in them, and it may be somebody leading them down the wrong road. So it challenged me as a parent to be more involved, but also to be involved in the kids that don't have that at home. And I think I'm real big on after-school programs. I know Straight Up is one of the big ones here. U-Turn, Master Lee's got a Taekwondo program after school. So the more stuff that you can get them involved with good role models and people that generally care about them, I think the better. A lot of these problems are going to disappear by that. So
that's great. Well, good. Well, thank you for being here today.
Appreciate it.
Again, David Lackey, and he's running for the Angleton ISD School Board. His contact information will be on the chamber website. So again, go there for any additional questions or comments that you have for Mr. Lackey. And we appreciate your tuning in today.
All right, thank y'all.